What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Hoops podcast. My name is Jeffrey. I'm joined, as always, by Ryan and Matthias. We are back for another week of basketball talk. We're going to be talking about the in-season tournament games, talking about just different stuff going around the league, and we'll be previewing the championship game for the in-season tournament as well tonight. Yes. But before we get into all that, Ryan and Matthias, how are we doing today?
We're doing good today. I woke up not too long before we're recording this. Had a late night, preceded by just a late week. I don't know.
Yeah.
The end of semester is here. I'm just tired. Ready for it to be over, but I'm excited to talk some ball. Matthias, how about you?
I agree with all of those statements. Yeah, I'm coming off a late night, a late week. I spent all night, like the night before, grinding on a final. I'm lacking on a lot of sleep, but I'm ready to talk some basketball.
Yeah, me too. I've been. It's been a week of midday naps in between my classes and homework time and all that. So I feel the same way. But basketball is the best thing to talk about when you get distracted. So we'll get right into it. Well, starting off with the in-season tournament games, then this week, we had the semifinals, and then we have the finals tonight on Saturday the 9th. But we can talk about. You guys want to talk about Pacers Bucks first, or do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, let's start out with the first game.
Okay. So on Thursday, the Bucks played the Pacers for the chance to go to the in-season tournament final. Pacers beat the Bucks. I don't remember the score, but I think it was by about 12.
Yep,
like 128 to 116 or something like that. I think. Good Giannis game, not a great Dame game overall. And I don't know, not much to say. The Bucks' same issues that have been throughout the season are still the same issues, to be honest.
Yeah. I honestly think the big story from this game is obviously Halliburton, but also for the Bucks, the story is what happened post-game.
Yeah.
Reports of Bobby
Yeah,
having a fiery conversation with the coaches and players. So that's something.
You should have a fiery conversation with himself.
Dude, he hasn't even been that bad.
No, he has not been that bad.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been horrible, but he has not been
great. He's a bench
great
player, and throughout his whole career, I think people forget that the finals run, he didn't play in some series because he's so matchup based.
Yeah,
as are most role players. Like he succeeds in certain matchups, but he also gets just figured out in others. So you gotta in a regular season, it's gonna feel like he sucks from week to week, even though he's still producing because he's just getting exploited defensively because of matchups that you won't see him in come playoff time.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's been my stance. The same thing with Bobby is he's a very niche role player. He has a role. But at the same time, I've always been in the camp if you can get a clear versatile upgrade, I think you would.
Well, yeah,
do that. I would be trying to get someone, package him if you want to get your salary really up there. Trying to package him and Pat Connaughton for $21 million in salary if you can get someone someone team is trying to get rid of. There's a couple of teams that apparently are looking for some forwards and bigs to come off the bench. I know the Knicks, which we can talk about the Knicks too, but apparently a bunch of the guys are not happy with being shooting guards and having to play the backup four, like Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, Grimes is like, why am I playing in the dunker spot? But I don't know. I just think the Bucks need to really lock in because the defensive lapses in this game, I don't even think were personnel wise. I mean, they're literally just not running back in transition.
They're
giving up wide open layups. It's just that's not personnel.
Post Giannis' birthday celebration, they were a little hungover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Dave showed up in sunglasses.
Giannis' birthday in Vegas,
Yeah.
Come on now.
I I wasn't watching this game that closely, but
it did start at 4 p.m.
It did start at 4 p.m., right? Which is, I think, an unfortunate thing for the NBA because the crowd was like super dead that first half, especially.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah.
But this game was it was funny. It was a funny game. That's kind of how I've been thinking about it because like beforehand, you've got Dame walking in and touching the trophy, and he doesn't know.
Never been around a trophy.
He's never been around a trophy. Like that's hilarious. And yeah, and then the game starts and Dame is just having a horrible shooting night because of it, and it's like, oh man, and like, yeah, the Bucks were getting killed in transition,
which I'm not gonna which has been a problem all year, but we got killed more than usual. But something I've been saying is it's the Pacers. They're the number one transition team in the league. They're the number one offense in the league. Like they're averaging like 127 points a game right now. Like.
Mm-hmm.
I said it when Ryan and I had the video together. The Pacers can run anybody out of the gym. Like
they ran the Celtics out of the gym the night before.
If they get hot, like they're gonna put up 140 points in like they're gonna take about 8.9 seconds per possession.
Yeah, like the Pacers aren't just some young team, right? Like their offense is an actual problem that teams just have a hard time playing against because not only are they a transition team, but even in the half court, their offense is still the best in the league. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton as a pick and roll ball handler is like number 1, number 2 around there in the NBA as far as efficiency and points per possession. They're just a really tough match.
Basically, any situation this year is top 1 or 2 in points per possession. It feels like.
Yeah, so that dude is insane. But that's I wasn't able to watch really the end of the game.
That's where most people's criticism. That's where most people's criticism of the game and the coaching came from was the end of the game because a lot of possessions ended with Chris Middleton having the ball in his hands or Brook taking shots. And what I'm going to say is I have no problem with Chris touching the ball in the fourth quarter. He's a good shot creator, and he has been one of the best fourth quarter players in the league for years.
Yeah.
I do have a problem with our best 2 players not touching the ball in possessions because Brook and Chris just want to throw the ball back and forth to each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's Dame, right?
Yeah,
like you have to give him the ball.
And Giannis was dominating this game.
And
like,
yes,
there's nobody on that team that can keep up with him. Like Miles Turner, sorry, buddy. It's not happening. Okay.
Like, yeah, it's
Miles. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
Just like a small thing. I feel like Miles Turner has like taken steps back defensively, like a little bit.
He's just he's a shot blocker now.
Yeah.
But like I feel like he's also improved offensively. So
like,
he's gotten more efficient.
Well, but, having Tyrese will do that for you.
True. I just think with Griffin is that he's trying to do this equal opportunity-ish offense, and that bullshit needs to stop. Stop. You don't do equal opportunity when you have 2 of the best high usage rate players in the league.
Yeah.
It feels like common sense because like when the trade happened, we're all like everyone's reaction is okay. Dame Giannis pick and roll. That's a play you just spam. That you just spam and over again.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff.
Both of them as screeners.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I've seen a lot of stuff about the pick and roll. I don't know why, but they seem to like the Horns DHO type of stuff more than the pick and roll stuff. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm gonna guess that the reason that they like that more is because they value Brook as a shooter more than a roller. And if both guys aren't shooters, the pick and roll gets a little bit devalued. With the Giannis pick and roll, obviously it's not going to be devalued because it's Giannis rolling to the rim. But the Horns does open up a little bit more space. So I can't really blame them for running that. I have no problem with it.
Oh, yeah, especially because statistically, Damian Lillard in a Horn set is one of the just most efficient offensive plays in NBA history. So it's like, run that. But also, you need to run a high pick and roll with Giannis. because it's going to drag two. Dame's going to drag two because on a high pick and roll, anywhere in the half court, he's a threat.
Yeah.
And then Giannis is going to have a 4-on-3. It's just simple. And also, it's like I talked about it a little bit, and I just feel like it just becomes more evident. The Bucks keep on trying to experiment outside of what they are good at, which like I get, but they should be trying to perfect what they're good at. So instead of like running one or two sets out of the horn and then running other like plays from Malik Beasley off ball, try to work in Malik Beasley sets into a horn set.
Yeah.
Because no one in the playoffs is going to be threatened by those Malik Beasley off ball sets unless
They
they're
should
in a
be.
horns. They shouldn't. Like I mean, like they should, but they shouldn't. Like comparatively, versus like if you put Malik Beasley like in an off ball action while the horns are happening. No, I know.
Yeah.
But like while the horns are happening, like it makes them 100% more deadly.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they're missing just like
it's been a weird kind of blend of that between like coaching style and what Griffin clearly wants to do versus what the players want to do. Like, you know, you mentioned the Bobby thing with Griffin. This is like the third incident of, you know, Adrian Griffin being confronted or something like that. I mean, like,
I mean, this is the only one that's been bad. I mean, the first one was Dame told him, like, because originally when at the beginning of the season they were running 6 minutes on, 6 minute off rotations. So and Dame was like, I don't want to do that. I want to play the whole first quarter and the whole third quarter, which is like whatever. Like that's normal coaching stuff, especially for a guy that had a short training camp there. He was not there at the beginning of the offseason to start game planning with them. And the other thing was they really wanted to, in the offseason, they emphasized, we want to put more ball pressure. We don't want to let guys run free off the 3-point line. We want to put more ball pressure. And it wasn't working well because Brook was not good in that space. So they were like, hey, we should switch back to drop. And he's like, okay, if you guys feel more comfortable playing drop as the primary and then having that and zone as the switch-in defense that we have, then let's do that. And they did that. And I do want to point something out. The Bucks defense, if you go from when they switched to drop, which was about 5 games into the season, they've been ranked about league average in defense.
Hold up, Jeff. Shohei Ohtani is signing with the Dodgers.
Oh my God, bro!
Shams
tweeted that,
bro.
Which is okay.
All right, well that's stupid.
All right.
Anyways, that's ridiculous. But anyways, but yeah, I mean it. And he's the one thing I will say is he's a first-time head coach. This is a coach that was picked by the players involved in the decision-making process were the ones that picked him over Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse and him and Kenny Atkinson were the finalists. They picked him. So, you know what, if they have a problem with the type of style, but also one thing I will say is I am, as a Bucks fan who's been tuned into the locker room and coaching situation over the last 5 years, nobody on that coaching staff held Giannis accountable, Chris or Drew accountable for how they were playing in games and told them to stop, BSing a lot of the time. And nobody held the coaching staff accountable. And like you see it with, there's a situation where like Griffin tried to check Giannis out earlier this season, and Giannis was like, I want to stay in the game. He's like, no, go take a seat. You're not playing well. Go take a seat. Go chill out for like a couple minutes and we'll put you right back in. Came out for a minute or two and they put him right back in. But it's like, I'm letting the coach grow. And that's the thing. Like, it's a first-time head coach on a very good team with a lot of things. And also, this roster is heavily built out with the thought process, Drew Holiday is going to be our starting point guard. That is what this entire roster was built around. All of our bench pieces were here before the trade. Everybody was here before that trade. Yeah. And it's like, there's really not much you can do there. I mean, you just got to hope that it gets better. It doesn't help either that we've had so many injuries to our wings right now. Pat Connaughton's missing his second full week. Jay Crowder's been out for like 5 weeks, 6 weeks almost.
Yeah.
Marjan missed 3 games. Andre Jackson missed a game, and he hasn't really been playing because he has had like a back spasms, and like they're like trying to be careful, make sure it doesn't get re-aggravated. I mean, our second wing that's coming off the bench right now is AJ Green, who's our 12th man. Like it,
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to really gauge where this team is going to be at, and really, the problem above all has been the bench. I mean, when you look at the breakdowns, the plus minus defensive and offensive rating of the bench versus the starters are fine defensively and offensively, but the bench comes in and they're just getting absolutely killed. Like teams are just absolutely running up, and it's like it doesn't help that we're injured right now. So you're running lineups out there right now with the bench of the first full bench unit sometimes is Dame, Campaign, and Malik Beasley as your 1, 2, and 3. With Bobby Portis. Like
stinky.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like injuries are piling up. The personnel is not there right now. And that's just what I got to say. I mean, I can't put too much on the. It's not like this team is filled top to bottom with great all defensive level point of attack defenders, and the defense is still bad.
But I will say they have young guys that do project to be some good defensive young talent, and that is one thing I think Bucks fans I need to be patient with is that you guys didn't have to see this development of young guys really because they just never played.
Or they were bad.
They were the bad because they never played, or they developed behind the scenes and then got minutes through training camp. But when you play young guys, there's ups and downs, and it's like you kind of have to use these 82 games to try to get those guys ready to play playoff minutes, basically. And if you don't play them, they won't. And it's like it's Ajax and Marjan, and they're the only real 2 young guys that project that are getting minutes right now as defenders. So you guys got to be patient. The Bucks have to be patient, continue to play them, or else they're gonna have nobody come playoff time. They probably will have nobody come playoff time that can defend.
Yeah,
in terms of guards.
Yeah.
Random thing. Shohei's deal is 10 years, $700 million.
God damn.
Baseball money is so crazy.
Not real.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with that too. It's just these young guys have to develop, and the problem is these young guys, people are like, why aren't they playing more? Dude, the young guys are still learning how to play NBA defense. They're literally fouling every play. I mean, there was a game where we put in Ajax and Marjan together. They fouled 6 possessions in a row. It's you can't be on the court if you're doing that.
It's not always easy to just play the young guys, especially for a team that's trying to win a championship. Playing young guys heavy minutes, you have to sacrifice a lot, right? It's hard to win in the NBA, and win multiple playoff series if you're playing young guys a lot of minutes. Just is. But I think we can move on from the Bucks.
We can get to the other game. We talk about the Pelicans-Lakers game. I don't have much to say about this. I turned it off at halftime.
Same. I watched until the third quarter, and I was just
this is on. They were up 70 to 100 at the end of the third.
Yeah, this was just an embarrassing game from the Pelicans' standpoint. It's just the in-season tournament, but you made it all the way to Vegas, right? Just to play one game and lose by a lot, and just get embarrassed.
They lost by 44.
Yeah, they lost by 44, and nobody on the Pelicans had a good game. Nobody. No. CJ McCollum, 9 points, 28% shooting from the field. Valanciunas, who's been really good this season, 9 points, 33% shooting from the field. Zion, 13 points, 1 for 6 from the free throw line. Brandon Ingram.
He was 75% from the field, though. We'll give him
True, but he only took 8 shots. It's
Zion's got to be more aggressive.
Yeah,
That's the issue. It's a bad game if he can't get up more than 8 shots.
Brandon Ingram, 9 points, 30% shooting. Dyson Daniels, Hawkins, Murphy, all kind of smaller performances, but just a really bad overall game from the Pelicans. They didn't even score above 90 points as a team. And they just let the Lakers do their thing. LeBron was unbelievable this game. That stretch where he had like 11 straight points with those deep threes, like the game was over when he hit those, and that was like in the second quarter. Just a dominant Lakers game. I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happened in this game, I think we can focus more on where these teams are trending. Lakers are getting more. I don't have much to say about them. I think the Lakers are getting more healthy. I still do not trust their perimeter shot creation and volume. This is an outlier game for them. I mean, they shot 17 of 35, 48% from three. They're taking like one of the lowest amounts, if not the lowest amount of threes per game at like 28, I think, or something like, or even maybe lower than that, like a super, super low amount. And they're shooting only about league average. They're not a good 3-point shooting team. And I don't know where you're getting a lot of consistent creation outside of LeBron right now. I'm going to put this out there. I think Anthony Davis is probably the worst shot creating superstar in the league right now. I mean, he's shooting 18% on mid ranges and like 20% on three. And like, he's not creating a shot outside the paint.
His jumper used to be money in New Orleans and like in the bubble. And since then it's been gone.
Yeah.
MIA.
Ever since he hit that fadeaway three to game the Nuggets.
Yeah.
It's been downhill since then. But they are trending in the right way. They're still very good defensively. The offense is about league average or slightly below league average, I think, right now. So
yeah,
there's some trends there, but hopefully if everyone starts getting healthy and they can kind of get some more cohesion going on the offensive side, Reeves has started to pick it up. D'Lo has been playing pretty well. But they're going to be interested. Yeah, but they're going to be interested. I think they're going to be interested in trading for one of those Chicago guys.
We'll see. I kind of like this team as currently constructed.
Oh, like, I do too, but
they could use another shooter, but every team could use another shooter. You can make the argument for. I like this team. The offense, I think, has started to figure itself out a little bit more. Austin Reeves had a weird start to the year, but has returned to form in a lot of ways. D'Angelo Russell is having a super good season, especially shooting the ball. I think he's shooting like 42 or 43% on 3-pointers right now, which is his career high by far. Taurean Prince is a career high-level shooter. I don't know how well he's been shooting this season. 35%. That'll go up. He's better than that. But getting healthy, I think, has been a huge thing for them. They've been healthy for a good amount of games now, and they started to win more. Jared Vanderbilt coming back is such a huge part of that team. Just what he brings as a player in the pick and roll on the defensive side of the ball. Also just being like a guy who gets rebounds, who's going to play tough defense. He's an important part of that team. Having him back, I think, just makes it easier and opens things up for everybody else.
I agree.
Yeah. I also think
Cam Reddish has been good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to say the young guys have been good. Cam Reddish and Max Christie.
Yeah.
They've both been showing strides this season, which I think answers a lot because they both project to be solid shooters if they continue up this production. And I think with Vincent and Vanderbilt back, Cam and Christie kind of rounding out that bench is going to help a lot. Because I honestly think they've shown that they can produce. And trust them at least a little bit.
Yeah. I think this will be an interesting matchup against the Pacers. Just because of the Lakers' defensive personnel and how they choose to guard Haliburton. I think the answer for them is to just switch to pick and roll so you can get Anthony Davis on Halliburton. And you just, I think, live with the results, and you hope that AD can try to slow him down one-on-one. I think that's probably their best bet right now. Against the Pacers, I think if you have to have Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell on Halliburton, like for extended time, I think that's just a death sentence for the Lakers. I really do.
They'll probably match Cam Reddish's minutes as much as they can with
Reddish and Vando, pick a full court, switch heavy, press.
Yeah.
Probably press when like LeBron and Austin are like on the receiving end of the pick and rolls, and then like not switch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's so hard with Hallie because there's not really a way to stop him, but you just want to force him. Just in the NBA, you just want to force someone to take a tough midi or a tough floater and have them have the big contest from the paint. Have someone contest in the rear window and hope that they miss a tough shot.
That's what the Bucks did. When they went on a run, they went into a zone and they tried to force them into a lot of mid ranges and floaters. And then Bruce Brown, they realized Bruce Brown's floater is the most money thing in the game. It's guaranteed. So
Halliburton's is too. He's shooting like 60% on floaters, which is insane.
But I personally would rather have Vando chasing with like AD and drop than having Austin Reeves switch on a pick and roll.
Yeah. I agree because Austin Reeves in the post is probably going to be a foul. He's going to whoever's out because he fouls so much when he gets switched.
Yeah.
From the Pelicans side, this trend though, from their team standpoint, this team has no identity at all. They don't know what they want to do. They just have a bunch of really good players, but none of them know how to play together or work together. There's still no guard on this team to do any sort of stabilizing factor. But like literally, like if any other like team had this collection of talent, like but with any other top two other than Zion and Brandon Ingram, they'd probably be one of the best teams in the NBA. Like Herb Jones is an elite defender, and his offense is taking strides, especially shooting wise this year.
Yep.
Trey Murphy coming back, elite shooter, good defender. Dyson Daniels, very good defender. Like
he's good.
Yes, he is.
He's had a really good year.
He just can't shoot it.
He's had a really good year, Dyson Daniels.
Yeah. Same thing with like even CJ McCollum. Like he's a good.
CJ's still a good player.
Yeah, he's still a good player. I mean, the contract is kind of like ridiculous. It's like
I mean, with the new.
Yeah.
It's not that much now.
No,
I will say, I think even Trey Murphy I feel like he's being held back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like he has another step in his development. He gives me Mikal Bridges vibes a lot.
Yeah.
Like put him on his own team, he can be
I like that comparison.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. They're like kind of the same mold of player. Really good defender. Really good shooter. But you can see the flashes of the creation, but it's not there.
Yeah.
What would you do with this team at the end of the year? Because I think they're going to roll with this through the whole year. What would you do? Would you trade one of those top two guys?
Does Zion have it in him to turn around his like mental or just like serious?
Well, that's part of
the question. That's the only question. Because if not, I think you get on his value before he continuously gets worse every year.
It depends on how this team finishes up the season. Like
that's true.
If they win a playoff series, I think you have to remain invested in this because I think like the ceiling of what this core can be is so high. But if they're in the play-in again, or
they probably will be. They
probably will.
Right,
yeah, they probably will be. Or if they just lose in the first round in a bad fashion, against a team they could beat, or I don't know. I think this team has a clock to it just as a core. I mean, they already tried trading Zion last summer. There are reports saying that they called around and they were looking to make serious.
They called Portland.
They called Portland. They wanted Charlotte.
They wanted Scoot.
they called Charlotte for the second pick as well.
Yeah.
So they've already explored trading Zion. I don't think they were ready to do that yet. But it's
it gave me kind of the
It's
same
tough.
vibes that with like the Timberwolves calling. It's a couple of teams calling the Timberwolves about Cat. It was like, well, they're not gonna trade him, but we're seeing what might be there if we were to. Obviously, everything's
they were to
in
struggle.
stride for the Wolves right now, but it's kind of that same thing. I don't know. I think you just have to make a decision with what direction this roster is going to go in. I mean, if you're looking at this roster from top to bottom right now, I mean, a lot of really good players, and I think you have good players that if you were to rebuild, you could, or if you want to try to retool and get better, you could do that as well. I mean, they have a ridiculous amount of assets still.
Yeah, I think they'd be if they were to do any massive shakeup this summer, I think it would be a retool, if anything at all.
I mean, they have 3 first round. Well, they have 2 first round picks plus Bucks swap rights this year. They're not going to get the Bucks pick this year. Next year, they have 2 picks. They have their own and the Bucks. 26, they have swap rights with the Bucks. 27, they have their own plus the Bucks. They still have all of their picks. This is the last year of the Lakers picks.
Yep.
But they still have so many firsts that they can throw around. If you really wanted to be like, we want a better version of CJ, maybe you could try to get like a Zach LaVine. I don't know why. I don't think that would really solve any problems.
Yeah, I think it's a player archetype they need to change around those players. Like I
they
honestly
need a
think
guard.
It's fringe.
You know who
they go get?
He's injured now, but you know who'd be great? Lonzo Ball. What if they should have just paid Lonzo? No, it would have been great. But yeah, I don't know. I think this team is they keep throwing, and I'll say this: they keep throwing darts at the point guard position. They are not trying. It's just that none of them have really like developed into the type of player that's like ready to run the operation on a high level playoff team.
Yeah. If there's one big shakeup that I think is pretty likely, it's a coaching change.
Yeah.
I don't think I just don't know if Willie Green is a long-term coach of this team. I actually think he's not.
He'll probably get fired this year if they're really bad. If they're like right now, they are the 10 seed at 12-11. They're 2 games above the Warriors, who are 10-12.
Yeah. I think that's something to look out for, is just Willie Green. I think like the chatter around him potentially losing his job will get louder as the season goes on. And also that like there is small like roster adjustments that they could make. Like even though Valanciunas has been, I think, a pretty reliable player for them this year, maybe they finally want to make a change. I don't think Miles Turner is on the table anymore. He used to be, but that's something. CJ McCollum, that's a guy.
I think you trade CJ McCollum for a playmaker.
Yeah,
I'm like, how much is he making a year again?
35.
But where the hell can you get a playmaker and pieces for 35 mil and not give up something else with CJ?
Chris Paul, send them back home.
Oh my God, no thanks. No thanks.
What, you don't want CJ?
I would love that.
I don't think it would be that bad
for the Pelicans. Maybe not for the.
No, the Warriors might not mind it too much. They need a bucket getter.
Yeah, someone average 20, and CJ can bring Portland the lottery pick.
That's so funny. That's actually
we'll all cheer him on as they.
It's just that Chris Paul is so old. Like if you're trading you're trading for him now, then you probably want him to be your point guard next season, and he's going to be like 39, 40 years old as your point guard. Like that's not.
This is like.
They're already an injury riddled team. Like
what is Chris Paul
does the Zion and BI what he does, what he's done with other young players he's played with throughout his whole career, and just helps them.
He is
get their heads
Chris Paul is
on straight.
The greatest culture guy of all time.
Like if Chris Paul helps them get their head screwed on straight, and he's there for 2 years, a year and a half, and even if they draft another young guard with the many picks they have, he can help mentor them if they get a playmaker.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly better. There's also like Malcolm Brogdon that I'm sure would be on the block, but
sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Not a good enough playmaker. I was thinking like
I mean,
Jones
I would
brother,
take,
but not enough money.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it too much, especially because it's expired. The thing is, though, if you were to make that deal this year at the deadline, say, Chris Paul is an expiring contract. CJ has 3 years on his deal.
Yeah, true. You could wait out CJ's contract a little bit longer. I do think Valanciunas goes. You get a little bit of a better rim. You try to get a better rim protector.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, though. Like, if you really wanted to retool this team through free agency, maybe that wouldn't be the worst idea, getting Chris Paul for CJ, because you're getting a bunch of money off the books at the end of the year. Maybe you throw some money at like a Claxton, something like that. Obviously, he's restricted, but you don't.
Or if you, it's one of those times where they like bought in when they had the good young players and just didn't work out, and it's like,
yeah,
they can't sell and retool through the draft at this point.
Yeah.
Like I still think the Cavs have the chance to sell and rebuild through the draft.
Yeah.
If the Cavs just were like, okay, this Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, Garland isn't going anywhere, I still think they have a year or two to sell and then kind of suck, because they will, unless somehow someone steps up. But
yeah,
I don't think Zion or Brandon Ingram are in a place to do that at all.
Yeah, I think the Cavs, and I'm not saying that they should do that or they will, but if they were to look to do that, I think they have like a better foundation still.
Well, because if the Cavs are going to retool, they just trade Donovan.
Maybe trade Jarrett Allen if you want to do that. But like,
yeah, it's Donovan and Allen.
It's easier for them because like Darius Garland and Evan Mobley as like your young core is amazing for them.
I mean, Zion BI is a great young duo too.
So. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But that's what I'm saying, is that they're not reliable enough, and they're a little older. So it's like,
yeah, Zion he's such a hard player to like contextualize within like the league, because it's such a gamble having him on your team. It really is. Like season to season, it's a dice roll of what you're going to get. They paid him the max after like an amazing year 2 and a year 3 where he sat out. They paid him the max, and so far the returns on that max contract have been,
well, this is the first max year, right? Yeah, this is the first max year. So I'm looking at his contract.
He doesn't seem to care about the sport too much, which is like fine. But
no, he's got some real motor issues, and those are concerns for sure. Like
especially when you're trying to win a championship.
Yes, especially like when
he's your best player.
When like it's a player and prospect like Zion who you blew up your organization for, basically.
God, they were so lucky. My goodness. Oh my God. They have what did they have, like the 8th best odds?
I don't think it was luck.
No, they probably definitely not. We could the NBA rigged that anyways.
It was,
but like they had like the 9th best odds. Trade Anthony Davis 2 weeks later, go to the lottery. Wow, this generational big man prospect. Here you go. Awesome.
Yeah,
sounds good.
I will always say, I will get on the lottery's rigged, because Blazers were one number away from Vic.
I think the lottery is rigged. Let's be honest. Like it is. Like of course the Spurs get Vic, and
I know, but it's just so hard to say that, because like odds wise, it does make sense though.
Yeah.
At the same time,
dude, I felt so.
But like,
dude,
also, it's like fuck.
Yeah, but like the Pistons falling to 5 after winning like 15 games.
Basketball gods.
Oh my goodness.
But,
I don't know. The Pelicans are a mess. and I don't really know. I think Ryan, what you said earlier though, like you don't really know what you would have to do until you have to do it is kind of a perfect way because you can't point to just one simple issue. Like it's not like, oh, like they just need the rim protection issue. Like the biggest issue is health, consistency from their two top guys. But it's like from like an actual basketball standpoint, it's like you can't just be like, oh, it's just the rim protection because there is games where they are defending the rim well and they're still losing.
Yeah.
You can't point to the playmaking because sometimes it's like, oh, BI is playmaking so well this game.
Yeah. It's weird because like it looks good. The team looks good on paper, but there are weird things going on with the coaching and like the team culture that starts with the star players. And then some weird fits at point guard and center. It's kind of a mess. But it's
the roller coaster in their season.
Yeah.
Show that, and they're like they'll go on a win streak, they'll go on a lose streak, and they'll end in the middle of the pack.
Yeah. All right.
I'm ready to move on off these boys. If you're ready.
We can move on from in-season tournament chatter. So.
But today the game is the tournament game will be the Pacers Lakers. I think we've talked about both the teams enough. It'll pretty much be who's going to make shots. And I'm going to probably guess the Pacers are going to be able to outshoot the Lakers. So that'll be my prediction for that. We can talk about some other teams. Let's start out with the bad things we want to talk about. Let's talk about the Detroit Pistons and the other worst teams in basketball. So the Pistons are on currently a 19-game losing streak. They have not won a game since October 30th. I just wanted to point out the fact that how sad it is that this is the number one talking point when there is currently another team in the NBA who has not won since November 7th in the Spurs are on a 16-game losing streak. And they're somehow not even talked about being that bad because the Pistons are so horrible. Everything going on there is just absolutely miserable. I don't think I've seen a fan base break down this fast than the Pistons fan base because they were so excited for this year because Cade was healthy and they had rookies and Duren was going to be fully healthy and
the new
they
coach
hired Monty Williams and it's just like, oh, wow.
I don't think Monty's been that bad. His scheme has set up open shots. They just have literally.
I don't think the scheme is the problem with Monty at all.
He has set up their offense is 12th in open shot creation.
Yeah, they have no shooting.
24th in finishing. I'm pretty sure.
Oh so, yeah,
that's bad.
I don't think anyone's problem with Monty is what's actually the scheme that they're running. I think it's the rotations, the culture that is clearly just deflating. Like the players are just deflated. And you can point to the losing, but at the same time, when your coach is getting up there and saying, "Nah, our players just don't care enough."
True. The way he's talking about it is bad.
And it's the same. It's the same thing that just happened in Phoenix with Aiden, and it's happening to Jaden Ivey right now. By the way, guy Jaden Ivey's just not playing game. I don't disagree. He hasn't been great, but at the same time, you're on a 19-game losing streak. Your 5th overall pick is riding the bench right now for 10
minutes. But hasn't he slowly lost minutes throughout the whole 19-game losing streak?
I have no idea. I haven't turned a Pistons game
at first he was playing bench minutes, and he's just slowly lost it. And Sasser is taking the minutes. I'm pretty sure
he's the 11th man on the team right now.
Yeah.
As far as how they're rolling out rotations, Monty did just say, I think yesterday, that he's going to look to play Ivy some more, which, okay, Pistons fans could.
I think it's where does Ivy fit? Where you're he's going to perform better. I don't know. It's all trickle down from the front office making bad trade and draft decisions because it puts the coach in a possible decision because he has 4 guards that are young that he needs to develop that all can have a case for different parts in their game to be on the floor, and it's shit, you might even have 5 guards looking at these rotations. There's so many
Cade, Killian, Ivy,
Sasser.
Isaiah Livers,
Asar
Alec
plays
Burks,
2, 3.
Alec Burks. There's Monte Morris when he gets back. There are a lot of guards in this team.
A lot of playable guards, and then a lot of them that like don't. We've talked about it. They don't fit niche roles. Like it's just bad roster building. It's hard to blame the players or the coach because they're just set up to fail.
So I pulled up the last. I'm gonna go till 2020. Okay, these are their last draft picks. So 2020, Killian Hayes. 2021, Cade, Isaiah Livers, and Luka Garza. They traded Luka, obviously, and JT Thor. They also drafted, but they traded him. The next year, they draft Jaden Ivey and Ismail Kamagate, who's I guess is in Denver now. This year, they draft Asar and James Najee, who got traded to Charlotte. Okay, I want you to tell me which player out of those players that they draft with their own picks, because obviously they had some draft day trades where they got like Duran and stuff. Even then, what player in here complements the player that they drafted the year prior?
Shane Sharp.
Yeah, they could have. No, I mean like out of these 5 guys.
Oh, like what they drafted?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying
so they draft a non-shooting, playmaking, defensive-oriented guard. They get the number 1 overall pick. You're going to draft Cade. He's the unanimous number 1 prospect. I can't say that. Following that, what do you draft around that to even somewhat fill out your roster with players that complement the rest of the players? Nothing. You're doing nothing. There's nothing there. You draft Cade, then you draft Jaden Ivey, who is
defensively. That's it.
Yes. Well, yeah, and I like Asar, but like, I think he's
wise. Like on the roster right now, it's like hard to say that he fits because nobody fits.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you draft Cade, you draft Killian, then you draft Cade, then you draft Jaden Ivey. You draft 3 non-shooting, playmaking, non-shooting guards in a row,
and then
you draft a non-shooting off-ball wing,
and then you trade Sadiq Bey, your shooter, for James Wiseman. Isn't that like that's such a dumb trade? Like I just thought about that the other day. Like what a horrible trade.
Dude, their big man rotation is pathetic right now. James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley are currently their bigs that they're running up there, and Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah,
none of those 3 fit with. Stu is.
I think he fits because he got that stretchability with Cade, but they don't fit. The other 2 don't fit at all.
Yeah.
And they gave up picks for those guys, by the way. They gave up seconds for those. Because of the Wiseman
I was
trade.
low on Ivy already in the draft, but it's also just I think he was just doomed from the start being drafted by that team.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, yeah, you're not gonna get developed at all.
No.
No, like there's no spot to be developed. It's just stupid. Like, why would you even draft him?
I don't know. What draft was that? 2020? It's 2022. Let's look at the 2022 draft class and see. Because
who they could have taken.
Yeah. Because I am not going to say that I think Jaden Ivey, I was not super high on him overall. But I should see like, hey, I think he could be a good player if you're projected. But the guys drafted right after him are Benedict Mathurin, Shaedon Sharp, and then Dyson Daniels. And then it gets a little Jeremy Sohan, Johnny Davis.
But you're not taking J-Dub at
no. J-Dub, you're not taking at 5.
You're just looking at Benedict Mathurin, Shaedon Sharp, Dyson Daniels, or trading down.
Jeremy Sohan too.
But yeah,
even then, Jeremy Sohan was a riser on the boards at the draft night. He was projected like late lottery to middle.
There aren't a ton of shooters in this draft. Like, if they wanted a shooter, it would have had to have been Keegan Murray. And he would have had to have fallen. But
and they did trade for Duran in this draft class, which was a good trade.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just think this Jaden Ivey pick was just terrible. I would have gone Mathurin or Sharp.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, I guess like you got to think draft night point of view. You probably would go Mathurin because Sharp was such a
everyone thought the Kings were going to take Ivy. And then they were like, no, we're actually not going to do that. We're not going to draft another non-shooting playmaking guard again.
We learned from our mistakes.
Exactly.
From the last decade of hell.
That pissed me off. Do you remember when everybody ripped on the Kings for passing an Ivy? Everyone's like, the Kings did it again.
I was like,
the Kings did it again. It's like the Kings doing it again would be if they were to have drafted Ivy. Because that's like,
would that have been the third guard they drafted in a row or fourth?
Yeah, because they just traded Halliburton because...
Yeah, it would have been Fox, and then 2 years later, Hallie.
Yeah.
3 years later,
Hallie. I wasn't high on Keegan Murray in the draft, so I was like, good the Kings didn't draft another playmaking guard, but I really thought they should have taken Mathurin or Sharp.
Yeah.
I just thought they fit nice. Like Mathurin or Sharp next to Fox, I thought would be perfect. But
yeah, but Keegan's been good.
Oh, so. Keegan's been amazing. I was wrong about Keegan. Keegan has been really good.
Yeah. It's been interesting though to kind of keep up with like Pistons Twitter, because
our friend CJ every day just are we losing today? It's just yes, every day, bro. I feel so bad. I'm like, I don't even know if I could follow the sport. If my team was that bad, I don't think I could care about basketball every day.
Yeah, and I like the reaction from people and like what they like, because I wanted to see like what would Pistons fans do with this team right now, and to me it seems like most of them are just calling for a top to bottom just like gut.
I've seen them say like the league needs to step in and appoint someone to advise the team, because apparently that's happened before. I didn't know, but
with Philly, like in the early process days, they were so bad, and it seemed like they weren't going in any direction at all. The league stepped in.
Yeah, they made like someone advise the front office, which is wild. It's funny.
Actually, that needs to happen though, because I swear to God, if this draft, they do not draft a shooting wing,
I don't care if they have the first overall pick, and if it's a guard,
you go Matas, you go Bazulas or whatever, because he can stretch a little bit.
Yeah. And now they don't want to trade. Okay, and also they don't want to trade Bogdanovich now because they think he's gonna help the team. You're about to be on a 20-game losing streak, dude. He's not helping. He's not helping anything.
Maybe they need a vet in that locker room though to just keep those young guys mental.
And I'm gonna say this: the front office better be realistic, because they said, "Oh, we don't want to make any changes." You better be realistic about that, because guess what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen this offseason? One of Bagley and
Wiseman have to be gone.
Cade is going to be like, get me out of here. Ivy is going to be like, get me out of here.
Also, there is like rebuilding teams are gonna be bad, right? But when you're this bad, that is extremely detrimental to the long-term success of your young players. The way you develop young players, you have to let them play through mistakes, and you have to let them sometimes go through rough stretches, but you also have to surround them in winning environments. Players that take the superstar leap, which is what they want Cade to someday take, you have to surround them in a culture and an environment that can
nourish them.
That can nourish them, and that can actually like be conducive to winning some games. Because
100%.
If you're going into every single game with the mindset like, okay, the margin for error to win this game is razor thin. If you're going into every game thinking that, like, that's not how you develop your young talent. And they have a lot of young talent that is really promising, like Asar. Everyone's gushing over him because he has a lot of talent, and he could be something really good one day, and he's already really good. Jalen Durton, he's shown flashes of being like a really great center, and then you've got Cade and Ivy and all the other young players. It's just not the situation right now. Is not a situation where those players are going to be set up for success.
Developing good habits.
Developing good habits or anything.
Dare I say a little Pistons Pelicans trade? There we just been talking about that. If Cade asks out,
I would like that.
Or even the Pelicans round out. They need playmakers. They could go like a Bogdanovich, Killian Hayes type thing. Just round out.
Or Ivy.
Yeah, or Ivy if you want to go young. True.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think Cade asking out is still years away.
Years away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's only his third year.
Because he's, dude, that can be. They're
for reference on how bad they are. They were 2 in like 15 to 16. They played the also 2 in like 14 Wizards and lost by 20 plus.
Yeah. They're one of the worst teams I've watched since I've been watching basketball.
They
once in a generation team.
Win percentage ever.
Yeah, they feel like the Bobcats from like 2013 or whatever.
The league was partially owned that team too at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's brutal. But we can let's talk about some good things.
Oh my god. Their win percentage is 0.91 right now. That'd be 0.2% lower than the Bobcats. So like
the Bobcats was a lockout season.
They broke the previous record by like 0.04. It was like 0.110 or whatever.
How many games did they win? 7? 9?
Something like that. Right? 7 and 59. 0.106.
Yeah.
Let's go. Well, and like if you're looking really quick before you switch, like if we look at the Pistons schedule, hold on, let's find it. Okay, their next game is the next game they have is the Pacers on Monday. They play Pacers, Philly back-to-back, Bucks, Atlanta, Utah, Brooklyn.
No, they statistically, like, I don't know how it is, but a week ago I saw someone's like off of win-loss record. The Pistons have the hardest strength of schedule remaining out of anybody in the league. They're like 2 and 17 at the time. We're like, oh.
Well, that's because they're in the Central Division, and all of the Central Division teams have been good outside of the Bulls, and the Bulls have been better recently. Like the Bulls are bad, but they're not like that. Like they have good players.
The Bulls have won 4 straight, man.
Yeah. No Zach LaVine.
No Zach LaVine.
Retool incoming Bull.
Oh, that tweet that was like Zach is going to miss 4 or 5 more weeks. That was like, okay, he's never playing the Bulls again.
Wait, let me check something really quick here. Oh, 4 to 5 weeks. Oh wow. Oh, that's January 15th. No way. Really?
How convenient. Wow.
How convenient. Wow, you know what's gonna happen? He's gonna get cleared for basketball, and then he's going to play, and he's gonna be traded on the first off day they have.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bulls aren't that bad. They can beat any team like any given night, but they have like obvious holes in their roster.
Hey, Kobe White, that man's been hooping.
Check out my video. Check out my video about elite role players that are going to break up.
Yeah.
I called it. I was money on that one. I said, "Yep, he's him." Really good shooter. Any shot creation
coming up. Last 19. What's the worst?
The worst loss was last night, honestly. 123 yesterday, 123 to 91. And that was without they lost to Orlando without Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac.
You think they break the process Sixers record for most losses in a row?
Well, yes. What is it, like 22?
28 games.
Yes. I think they do. I think they break it.
Oh my god, bro. It's so brutal.
Oh, but this one is technically like between offseason. Wait, this one it might be shorter. Oh, no, it is 28.
As a team, as being a fan of a team in a different sport that had went through a stretch of a 2-year stretch like this, it is not fun. Not fun at all.
Oh god, no.
Yeah.
Watching the graphics, like, are they gonna break the all-time loss record? I'm like, fuck. And I was like, oh, we won a game. Let's go.
Yeah.
It makes those wins so sweet, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm like celebrating for like weeks. I'm like, yo, we beat a good team. No, but what's going to happen though? The Pistons are going to beat a good team. They're not going to beat a bad team. They're going to beat a good team to break their record. I'm looking at this stretch of in a row. The stretch from next week of Philly, Milwaukee. They're they're going to beat one of those teams. One of these teams this next month or Boston or some shit. Like it's going to be a stupid team that they shouldn't beat.
Well, it's like, yeah, the contending teams are going to come in not taking it seriously, and they're going to
or they're going to rest guys and guys. But yeah, let's move on. So I want to talk about the MVP type ladder, which we can then talk about some of the better teams. So right now, the top 5 kind of unanimous group of people for MVP has been Embiid, Jokic, Shea, Luka, and Giannis have been the top 5 guys.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that list? Do you guys have a preference on who you think should be number 1 / who you think might end up at the top of the ladder at the end of the year? Because we're about a fifth of the way through the season, so it's a good sample size of what's going on so far.
Yeah. I mean, I said it before we started recording, but Shea winning MVP would be really cool. Like that would be like that would kind of be like Derrick Rose winning in 2011, even though Shea is a bit older than Rose was then. But like, you know, exciting young player on an up and coming team, you know, taking the league by storm, no pun intended, and winning MVP. Like that'd be pretty cool.
And I think right now he deserves it. He's not number 1 on my MVP ladder.
And that's the thing is that he actually has a case, and probably my favorite, like probably has a favorite case out of all the 5 players Jeff just mentioned. Mm-hmm. I like Shea winning this award. Just see,
he's averaging 35 and 6 on 54% from the field, 34% from 3, 91% from the line, and his free throw attempts are down from last year per game. So last year he was taking 10 a game. He's only taking, he's taking 7 a game now.
Still a lot, but not.
But the scoring is only 1 point. He's only scoring 1 point less a game.
Yeah, and the Thunder are good, and Shea has been, in my opinion, probably the most clutch player in the NBA this season.
I'll say Dame.
It's Tyrese.
Dame, Tyrese, LeBron.
But like, there's been a lot. They have an argument. Like,
yeah.
Every time Shea is on the floor, OKC looks a million times better. And every time he has the ball in OT, it feels like the ball goes in. Like, I will say that. Like, anytime watching the OKC game, it's just like, oh, Shea's going to get a bucket.
Yeah.
Or he's going to create a bucket for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, the big case is I like Embiid at 2. Like, I think Embiid also has probably the second strongest case. But Shea doesn't have anyone like Tyrese Maxey on his team. Like, you can talk about Chet or J-Dub, but they don't compare to the production that Embiid is getting from his teammates.
Yeah.
And Shea is just like, he creates so much, so much open looks for everybody at all times. And I think it was a stat from like last offseason, so it's a while, but he has led the league or been top 5 in the league in like most potential assists for OKC in the last few years. And it's like, now he has shot makers. And when these shot makers improve, as they are, these young guys will, I think that assist number could honestly go up from 6.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he finishes with 7 and a half.
There's a reason that their best lineups on the floor currently consists of their best shooters. Their best lineups are always Shea out there with Cason Wallace and Isaiah Joe.
Isaiah Joe's his like on and off numbers are great.
Dude,
for that
by
team.
the way, Philly gave him up for nothing.
Stupid.
Cash considerations, I'm pretty sure. Like,
and he wasn't even like playing bad for them at the time.
He's always been a good shooter. He's always been a good
Philly
shooter.
just throws away players, bro. Just traded Mikal for who was that? Zaire Smith, is that his name?
Zaire Smith.
Yeah,
but that was unlucky. He had like a health thing, and he never could really even play.
But Mikal was would have been a perfect fit with that team, dude.
A Philly kid whose mom worked for the organization. Like, come on.
Went to Villanova.
Yeah.
wanted to go to Philly. They draft him. They trade him for a guy for a and a contending team. By the way, traded him as well. They're about to start contending, and they traded him away for a project athletic wing.
Yeah.
Talking
about Embiid though, I just want to say, like, I do want to give Embiid his flowers a bit because we kind of do the thing with Embiid like we do with Chris Paul, which is just like, second round playoffs. That's all we talk about with Embiid.
Yeah,
but like, we got to give him his respect. I mean, 33
100%.
points per game. That's number 1 in the NBA. 11 rebounds a game. 6.5 assists per game, which like I feel like doesn't even do his
Nick Nurse
his
is changing the way that Nick Nurse is allowing, instead of what they would typically do, which was last year with Harden, which would be Embiid gets the board, waits for Harden to clear out, everyone to clear out, gives the ball to Harden, pick and roll. To start every possession. This year, it's grab the board, Maxey and Tobias and everybody fly down the court, and Embiid throw that to half court, and Maxey go take it to the rim right away.
Yeah, which I like for Philly. I think Embiid's a good passer. He's showing it this year, especially how good of a passer he is. And also with Embiid, he's a great defensive player. 2 blocks a game, a steal a game. Shooting numbers are a little bit down from last year, but he's still just dominating teams night in and night out.
Yeah.
And the Sixers are good and better than I thought they'd be.
A lot of people thought they'd be. Well, Maxey stepped up. Nurse is really doing a lot for him, but also it's like you can't ignore how Embiid continues to reinvent his game. I think that's just really cool. We see it.
It reminds me of the 2020 one year with Giannis, where he just focused so much more on learning how to pass out of double teams and stuff like that. It just opened up the offense more, and it catapulted him into being a better player. I will say though, for the Thunder, I wanted to say, so when we were talking about Shea, I did not think that they would be a guaranteed like top 4 seed. I thought they might hover on playing. And one of those reasons is I did not think Chet was going to be this good right away. So I didn't think he was going to be like this good right away.
Well, you didn't think 2 of their rookies would come in and be some of the most efficient shooters in the league. That's just like crazy unheard of stuff. Because I was on the same boat, and usually rookies struggle. But
it's funny. I was going to war over like Thunder versus Wolves all summer.
Yeah.
I was like, the Wolves are going to be so much better than the Thunder, and now it's like they're both good. So it's kind of like I won, but not really because they're both good. So
Nah, you won.
I did win. Yeah.
But who else is on the MVP list? I'm trying to think.
Luka.
I think
Luka, Giannis, Jokic too.
Yeah.
I would probably go. In terms
my
of
top,
I
top
think
one.
They have the 5 right. Maybe throw Halliburton in there, but I don't think he's won enough. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think right now, I think we'll see over the next couple of weeks, but I think my number 1 right now would probably be Embiid. My number 2 would be Shea right now, probably just because of how disappointing the Jokic and the Nuggets have been over the last week or two. And then I'd probably go Jokic, Luka, Giannis, maybe. I think. I don't know. They're all really close. I'm going to be honest.
They're all really close. I might. Part of me wants to give the edge to Luka over Jokic and Giannis. I don't know.
Luka had a 30-point triple-double in the first half this week.
Yeah, Luka's been really good. And I haven't checked in on his efficiency since a couple weeks ago, but his efficiency's been up.
It's been good. He's having the best 3-point shooting season of his career so far.
And his best free throw shooting season.
Yep.
So it's like I guess turnovers are kind of down for his career, I guess. But
and the Mavs have also been better than I thought they were going to be. I was in the camp of thinking we're like, okay, they're gonna suck. But they haven't. They've been good. We found out today actually that Kyrie will not miss serious time with this injury.
That looks brutal.
He had a bad fall last night where like I think Derek Jones Jr. landed directly on his.
It was Powell.
Yes,
Yeah.
Powell
Powell.
landed directly on his leg, and like I was watching the game, it looked bad. Kyrie looked really hurt, and I don't think what I've read on Twitter is that this is like best case scenario.
Yeah, when you have
looks.
that big of a man falling on your leg that's up and it snaps and hits the
That's
ground like that.
dangerous. It's so scary.
So it could be
Yeah.
anywhere from ankle to knee to hip that could get just messed up right there.
Yeah. So we'll see how much time Kyrie misses. I don't know for sure. But the Mavs have been good. They've been a fun team. And
Yeah, I
Luka,
agree.
with Luke,
That's like you basically
Yeah.
summed up. I feel like Luka's been the head of that because Kyrie, although Kyrie hasn't necessarily been Kyrie for the whole season. Like he started off slow and they were still succeeding. A lot of that I think is with Luka.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I honestly I put him at 3 and then I'd go Jokic 4, Giannis 5.
Yeah.
Ali 6 if you want to throw an honorable mention in there for doing the top 5.
I agree. Well, we can talk about the other two guys that on there. We can start with Jokic because we've already kind of talked about Giannis, but not kind of. But Jokic is having the last 2 games of yesterday and on Wednesday were very, very brutal games.
He's been bad the last 2 games, man. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like he shot like 9 for 25 in like both of them.
Yeah, not good. But I think overall the counting numbers have been good for Jokic. But the efficiency is down significantly this year from where it was last year. I think he's like a 9% decrease in his true shooting percentage this year. He's shooting lower from everywhere on the floor. And the Nuggets just have not been as good as they were last year. I tried to make the case that the Nuggets were not. I feel like there was this big kind of consensus among a lot of people that the Nuggets were in kind of this tier of their own going into the season because all their young guys are going to be developing and the bench or the starting lineup has played so much together and they're so good offensively and the defense was taking strides. And I was like, I don't think they are in a tier of their own because I was like, the veteran bench pieces that they did lose, like they played big roles. Like people are like, oh, they lost Jeff Green. Yeah, it's just Jeff Green, but he was also playing like 15 minutes a night and like good in those minutes. And
in
Bruce
the finals,
Brown was
in the finals, by the way. Like
yes.
Yeah.
And like Bruce Brown was consensus, like one of
Bruce
the best
Brown was a huge
6
loss.
men in the league. And it's like, and now you're watching these bench players roll out and you're like, these young guys are good, but like they are not playing even close to the level that those guys are playing. I mean, Zeke Naji's like not been great. He's been okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Brown has been good, but not like where he probably needs to be. I mean, they have Julian Strother coming off the bench who's been good in some games that he's had to play. Peyton Watson is good, but it's like his offense is still not developing.
Yeah, they still have holes while those veterans tend to be more well-rounded and know who they are.
Yeah.
It's hard to
playing young guys.
It
comes at a cost.
Out.
Yeah. Reggie Jackson's been a bright spot for them, but like
which we all clowned on that, which is funny because they use their full mid-level on him, but hey, it's working out. He killed the Clippers that one game. That was hilarious. Yeah. Reggie Jackson, DeAndre Jordan starting 5 were killing.
I can't get over that. Like the Clippers let DeAndre Jordan in 2023 put up a 23-11 game. Like that's disgusting.
So disgusting.
Like how reliable is Reggie Jackson come June? Like there are questions there.
Next to Jokic, I think he can be really reliable, but it just depends if he, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is. It's that you bank on Jokic making life easier for the young guys and Reggie Jackson and players like that.
Yeah.
But also they're running into an issue again where they're not getting people involved enough. Like I'm seeing Nuggets fans bring back up that video of Michael Porter Jr. like say like we need to share the ball if we want to beat teams, like good teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
yeah,
I don't know. They got it. I think a big reason why they were so good last year is that Michael Porter Jr. was a threat at all times, and I don't know if he's necessarily felt like that. And I don't even know if that's Michael Porter Jr.'s fault. You know what I mean? I just think offensively, there's a reason that's being brought up again. And I don't know who that's on, but it might be on the young guys, but I think it's probably on everybody as a whole.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, when a team wins a championship, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt from me.
Yeah.
So, I'm not looking at this little 3-4 game losing streak and sounding off any alarm bells.
Oh, I'm not. Me neither. I'm just.
But
they've been sub 500 on the road.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Which is not good, especially for a team that's supposed to be, because even if I just think it's because of the young. And hopefully you can say like by the end of the year, like the young guys are playing better. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what steps the young guys can take any further to really. Like how much development do you need out of the group that we named, like the Zeke Naji, Christian Braun, Julian Strother, Peyton Watson? Like how much development do you need out of those guys to like?
You need like
a lot.
Really?
Yeah. You need
and like Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday's been good for them, but like, bro, it's Justin Holiday, dude.
You need two of them at the very minimum. You need two of those young guys or bench guys to be able to play like 15, 20 minutes a night come May, come June.
Yeah.
I think
number one,
I'm only with the guys that currently off their bench, which are I'm only confident in 2 and maybe a half. Like
I'm confident in Brown. I think Brown can handle it.
I'm confident in Brown and Reggie Jackson, I think, to at least be able to play. I think Reggie Jackson you can at least put him out there and say he will not be like completely selling. Like he's going to get picked on defense, but I don't like, and you hope he can get a hot game, but that's just who Reggie Jackson is. Like they know who he is.
Yeah. I think what it comes down to, yes, he has. I think what it comes down to is they need Brown to step up and fill the Bruce Brown role. And then you need somebody you either need Najee to be able to produce and step into that Jeff Green role, or you need Peyton Watson to be able to hit some corner threes and keep playing and like fill in the Jeff Green role. Like you need guys to just kind of fill those roles. And I think Christian Braun is the number one where he has to step into that. He has to be a viable 6-man soon enough.
Yeah.
And obviously that's like, you don't want to rush and be like, he has to do it this year. Because I still think the Nuggets are a contender, how they're built right now. But if they want to be like, have no weakness, or if they want to be a championship lock every year, like what many of us thought they would be, like they were last year, they need to step up. Because they do have a weakness that they can get picked on.
Yeah. We got to get Shot on the show soon. We tried to have him on like a month ago and it didn't work, but we got to get him on again because he just knows a lot about the game, and I want to hear his like perspective on the Nuggets, especially obviously because he's a fan of the team, and
and also Jamal Murray being hurt, caused them problems, and I think, and obviously when we talked about it, we never hoping that anyone gets hurt, but we were like, this was the first season that all these guys have been healthy, and every other year they're at least one of them kind of has a nagging injury. And I'm going to bring this back to the Bucks just because I can't, like this Jamal Murray thing kind of reminds me of the Chris Middleton thing in 2022, like nagging injury throughout the year. And then it gets reaggravated in the playoffs and it all breaks down. So
there's always that chance.
Yeah, they're for sure. Well, then the last guy on the MVP ladder has been Giannis, which we talked about him with the in-season game. He's having the most efficient season of his career by far.
Yeah.
He's taken the least amount of jump shots of his career. He's operating with more space than he ever has, which has been because of Dame.
I think with the Bucks not figuring it out, I think if once they figure out how to put everybody in better positions, I think Giannis can even take another step, either get more efficient or just get more production.
Yeah, and then his case will get better too. Like Giannis and Jokic are like their numbers are going to be so crazy, and their impact and winning is going to be so crazy year to year. Where like they're always going to be in the conversation. You just got to catch them in the right year for them to actually have a chance to win it.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Do we have any other teams that you guys wanted to talk about? In this area?
Well, we can talk about the Wolves a little bit because right
now
they're blazing. Right now, the Wolves are 17-4. That's the best record in the NBA, and it is by think by 2 games over the Celtics, who are 16-5. The Wolves have looked really good. Even without Ant and Jaden, the last like 5 games, the Wolves have still won games, and it's felt pretty easy. Be it they have been against some bad teams.
But if you're missing 2 of your top 4 best players,
like the Grizzlies and Hornets are bad teams, but they're not gimmies, right? Like those are they're gonna make you earn your win, and for the Wolves,
Pistons or the Wizards.
And especially if Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels are both going to be out those games get harder, and we're seeing like a maturity and a composure from the Wolves that I have never ever seen in my lifetime of watching this team.
The
Wolves are good in the clutch. They just are. Like Mike Conley as an organizer and a late game decision maker is such an upgrade over like D'Angelo Russell. It's not even close. Karl Anthony Towns.
Shout out my boy Cat.
Shout out my boy
Cat. Let's go. 50, 40, 90 on 21, 9 and 3. As
that
the
dude
fucking second option. Let's go.
That dude's been killing this season.
He was really bad for those first 3 games, but oh my god.
He had a horrible first like 7-8 games where everyone's like, they got to trade Cat. He fouled out against the Celtics. He got to trade Cat.
You tweeted it too, bro. You were like, I'm giving him like 3 games. You were like, what did you say? You were like, I remember you literally texted me. You were like, yeah, this cat thing, I'm ready to be done. I was like, Jesus, man.
Nah, but my guy's been hooping. 22 points per game, 9 rebounds, 50% from the field, 43% from 3, 90% from the free throw line.
Best shooting big man of all time.
Yeah, I think he's been a better player than Ant this season. If we're just looking at the entire year, Cat's been super consistent. He's been just torching defenses. I think defensively, he has really made strides this year that we've never seen from Cat before. The system that the Wolves play with Gobert anchoring everything,
it's been wonderful.
It's let Cat really roam and move his feet, which like has been something that's been questioned with Cat for a long time. Is like if he is on the perimeter guarding, can he move his feet fast enough? Turns out he can. He's covering other power forward matchups just fine. You can throw him on center still, and he's a big enough body to where he can like take hits and you're fine switching him onto other bigs for a little bit, and you can like have Rudy kind of play off that and lurk around and be a weak side guy. The Wolves have been able to do a lot of interesting defensive things, and a lot of that has to do with Cat's versatility on that end, which is such a new thing for the team. But yeah, overall the Wolves have they've been rolling. They've been putting away bad teams, which was something they weren't able to do at all last year. Mm-hmm. The Timberwolves record against the bottom 5 teams in the NBA was bad.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was
weird.
It was
like
weird.
Just not preparing at all.
Yeah. And that hasn't been the case this year. They've just been taking care of business as a team. I'm excited for this next stretch of games for them because the next 16 straight games are all against teams above 500, and 11 of those 16 games are on the road. So this next month and a half is going to be a real test for this team. Not like they need a test to prove they're a legit team, because I think they are a legit team. Like if you're 17-4, I think you're legit. I think this team conference finals is, I think, a realistic expectation for this team, just based on how
Yeah,
things are going right now.
Yeah, so if you look at the bracket, because I was watching through the wires playoff. They said if the playoffs started today, first round right now. Let's just ignore the play-in. Right now they play the Rockets. Rockets are horrible on the road. They haven't. They've won one. They run a one road game actually. I didn't even notice that. So they're horrible on the road. I would probably take the Wolves, and probably if they're fully healthy, I would probably take the Wolves in 4 or 5 games. You know, you might have a bad shooting night. And then after that, I mean, you're playing the winner of, would it be the 3-6 matchup or the 4-5?
You'd play 4-5.
So it'd be the winner of Nuggets Lakers, which that would be kind of brutal. But I think that Minnesota's current defensive scheme, if their offense is coming the way it has been or can be, I think they have a good chance to beat either of those teams. They played the Nuggets really well last year. So I think that's, but I also don't expect the Nuggets and Lakers to be the 4 and 5 seed. I'm going to assume it's going to be probably someone else. Probably the 4 and 5 will probably be like Dallas and Sacramento, I would assume, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Lakers.
Yeah, I like the Wolves over Dallas, and I like them over LA. Sacramento is a tough matchup for the team.
Yeah.
Also,
and
could be
the Nuggets
OKC second round matchup too.
Yeah,
it could be OKC too if OKC falls. But and then after like if you can get past that second round, I think the second round is going to be tough. A lot of teams are hitting their stride now, but I mean, they could realistically they should win. If they don't win a playoff series, that would be very disappointing, especially if they're a top seed.
Yeah.
I think if they're a top 3 seed, and the expectation should always be to win one playoff series. I think expecting any more than that is like just kind of setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, unless you're like a championship or bust type of team. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think the Timberwolves are championship or bust personally.
Ant is 22. I don't think they're there yet.
Yeah.
And like Gobert's having one of his best defensive seasons of his career. Like he doesn't look like you need to rush or anything. If you guys lose in 6 in the second round, like obviously if you guys get embarrassed in the second round, I might be like, ooh, okay, maybe you got to retool, relook at some things. But compete in the second round I would be happy personally.
There are second round losses that are bad, and there are second round losses that are good. It just depends on the situation.
Yeah, and I also think like a 4-5. It depends year by year because sometimes there's a big difference in the 4 and the 5 seed. But usually, if you compete in a first round series against a 5 seed and you lose, it's like, is it really that bad? Losing 7 to the 5 seed as a 4 seed, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect my team personally as a fan to like waltz my way through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I would agree. I think you win a playoff series should be the number one thing. You win a playoff series, and I want a convincing win. Beat up on the lower seed.
Yes.
And then in the second round, you should, if you depending on the matchup, if it's like a Nuggets and you lose in 6 or 7, it's like, okay, well, we lost. Yeah. But you don't get embarrassed in the playoffs. Is pretty much what it is. Look like you're taking those strides.
Compete.
One thing I will say with this team. And I've seen Ryan, you've said it multiple times. This team needs some more shooting, desperately. Yeah. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, really good defensive player. Another person I made a video about. Let's go. That whole video just aged perfectly.
Yeah.
But really good defensive player. Been really pivotal, especially with
Jaden
McDaniels missing time. Yeah. But the shooting is still not his strong suit.
The jump shot
been better, but
it's a journey with Nickeil because his shot mechanics are so weird. Mm-hmm. Where you might see a week from him where he'll shoot 60% on his 3-pointers, and then you'll see him go like 0 for 7 in 2 games, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's. If I had to like pick out the biggest weaknesses from this team, the Wolves would be the bench needs another guy that can shoot and handle the ball. That's really it. Because Mike Conley is being asked to play like 30 minutes a night right now. And with his age, I just don't know if that can't hold up, and especially if the Wolves aren't going to be a team that rests players. Like Mike Conley is playing on every back-to-back. He's playing 30 minutes a night, playing in the clutch when he doesn't have to. Like you're asking a lot of him at this point in his career. And the Wolves need a consistent option off the bench, and more shooting. Troy Brown Jr. has been like a revelation recently because he provides shooting and is a hustle player. But Kyle Anderson, his 3-point shot that was there last year has disappeared.
Yeah.
Naz Reid takes too many threes. Like he can make them, but he's always been allowed. He's not like a sniper. His percentage is good this year, but because he started off really hot. But he's kind of regressed back down to the mean of where he's normally at. So he provides spacing, but it's not like, he's not a movement shooter by any means. And then like Fake Milton isn't a shooter. Jordan McLaughlin isn't a shooter. Like the bench needs another shooter and needs another guy that can handle the ball. Just more guards. But
so you're saying you need a Pat Connaughton type of player?
I would actually love Pat Connaughton on this team.
Oh, would you? Please.
It would. I mean,
no, I'm just.
I'm a firm believer that I think if you trade like Pat Connaughton, Bucks fans are not going to realize how good of a role player he really is.
No, he is good.
God.
He's good.
Like he went to Minnesota, and then his replacement would stick it up, and he would succeed, and people would be like,
"Well, his replacement's on the roster right now, but our fans don't want him." Yeah.
But it's been really fun to watch the Wolves this year. The vibes are just at all-time high. Teams winning, tough stretch coming up. I'm really excited for it. One thing I do want to say, one more thing about this team is that I think this team could be even better than they are right now, because I think they're leaving some meat on the bone that they haven't really been able to get at yet, which I think could make this team even better. For example, McDaniels has been hurt for most of the year and hasn't really been able to find like a super great rhythm within the team. You get Jaden McDaniels available for a stretch, and he starts to just play his game and attack open space and defend like he does. That elevates the ceiling of this team. Anthony Edwards hasn't had a super consistent year so far. He started out red hot, has kind of slowed down due to some injury and to some inconsistencies with his game. If he takes that superstar leap, which I think a lot of people have expected him to take this season, that makes the team even better. He's already having a better season than he was last year, but
it's not the leap that you a lot of people were wanting or expecting.
No, it's what he's not doing what Halliburton is doing right now. Like, Halliburton is like establishing himself as like, okay, I'm a superstar. Ant hasn't done that. Like he had some big games early in the season, so I'll give him his credit there, but I don't think he hasn't been doing what like Hallie has been doing, for example.
I mean, he's giving you 24, 5 and 5. Pretty good efficiency, but special.
I just think those numbers could go up.
It's the same. It's pretty much the same exact stats as last year. Last year, he literally gave you 24, 5 and 5. Well, last year he averaged 24.6, 5.2 rebound, 5.8 rebounds and 4.4 assists. This year, 24.4 points, 5.6 rebounds and 4.8 assists. It's literally the same exact numbers.
Yeah. Last night he only played 3 minutes, which I think changes his numbers a little bit. In the OKC game that from like 2 weeks ago, Ant was going for a dunk and he was in the air, and
I saw
Jay Will decided to
slide
moved
underneath
his airspace, which I think is like not.
I think that play was so big. I don't think Jay Will slid under him. I think that was.
I don't know.
It was pretty like he slid in as he was driving. We won't talk about it, but
I don't want to talk about the charge because that's like controversial, I guess. But So Ant fell hard on his hip and was diagnosed with like a hip pointer, which is just something that like will flare up at times and just be uncomfortable to play through. So when he's back to healthy, I think we're going to see Ant insert himself and take that leap. But yeah, I just think that him and Jaden not even being fully like established yet means good things, because once you get that going, this team is even better.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I don't really got too many other teams to talk about. I don't think.
Yeah. Let's see.
I want to ask you a question. So next week, Friday, is December 15th, which means any player that signed a regular contract in free agency can officially be traded. I'm going to go through some notable names, and I'm going to see if any of these guys you think are going to be traded. Okay. So for the Bulls have a few guys. They're going to be a team that's probably going to be selling out. Javon Carter and Torrey Craig. Do you think either of those guys would be trade targets for anybody?
Javon Carter, I think.
Yeah, he's only playing about 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, Torrey Craig, I can't really judge his value across the league. I don't think it's much.
Yeah, I think those guys are movable.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have teams like off the top of my head that I can see obvious fits for, but
yeah,
those guys
any team needing wing/guard defense would be probably targeting those two guys. Guys from this team signed a couple guys. Karis LeVert, George Niang, Max Strus. I don't think Max Strus would be traded. He's been really good for them.
No,
but
he's been really good.
Karis, I think there is a chance. Hasn't been having the best season.
Wait, who's the random role player that keeps asking out? It's not Yang, is it?
It's
Korkmaz.
Oh, it's Korkmaz.
Yeah.
He requested a trade He requested a trade like 4 years ago. I don't think any of those guys would be. This is an interesting one, actually. So the Rockets, a lot of these guys have been good for them, but they got, Dylan Brooks, don't think so. Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, Jock Lindale, and Fred VanVleet. Don't think Dylan Brooks or Fred VanVleet would be guys, but
I don't think the Rockets make a deal at the trade deadline, really.
Me neither.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Unless someone approaches them with an overpay, they can't deny.
Yeah. Lakers have a lot of guys. Jackson Hayes, Torian Prince, Cam Reddish, D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent, and Christian Wood all are eligible to be traded next week. Do you think
knowing the Lakers?
Do you think they're going to make a deal with any of those guys, or do you think they're going to wait till the free agents, the extensions, and so they might be able to move Rui and them too?
They'll probably wait until February, but
yeah, they've been playing well. I think they waited out to see if. I think they're monitoring the Chicago situation pretty closely. I think they're going to wait until something opens up there, and I think I really do think the Lakers are going to make a push for LaVine. It's just the kind of trade that they would make.
I would, and people are comparing it to the other times when they chase stars. I think it's a little different because you're getting a very, very clear upgrade who's in his prime and also has a good amount of years left on his contract.
And fits
well.
Offensive,
he's a good shooter.
Yeah.
Who can play off and on ball.
So. Yeah. And super athletic, can speed them up because they're slow. He can play with the youth and run fast.
And they have the defensive personnel to
cover
help
him up.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
Knicks, Dante DiVincenzo will be eligible to be traded, but I don't think they'll trade him. But I feel like the Knicks are going to trade for I feel like they're going to try to trade for somebody. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if they said that they're not really in on LaVine, but apparently the Knicks and Heat are DeRozan's top two teams. I hate the fit, but that's who he's named.
The fit is nasty in both scenarios.
Yeah, but I think at the very least they're going to be looking for a backup 4 type player because they're currently running out lineups where, like I talked about earlier, they're running 3 shooting guards at the 3 through 4 spot every night. It's just unserious. Josh Hart can't be your backup 4.
Trust me, I know how that feels. Josh Hart was playing 3 and 4 minutes for us. Well, it was bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those things in the modern NBA. If you're like a shooting guard, small forward, it's a good rebounder. You're doomed to be a power forward in a small ball lineup. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Another
shout
team
out,
that
shout
has
out to Josh Okogie.
Yes, shout out Josh Okogie. Toronto has a couple guys. Jalen McDaniels, Garrett Temple, and Dennis Schroeder all are eligible to be traded. I'm not looking at these as teams, honestly. Do you think Toronto is going to make a deal between this time?
I don't think Toronto will make a deal now.
Yeah,
I think at this point they just sit on it. They've had some development that looks nice. That I think they've been better than expected.
It's hard
even
to
though
say.
Like win loss, like they still are losing. I just feel like their team has looked better.
Well, they're 9-13 right now, but here's the thing: they don't have their pick this year, so no reason to sell. Honestly,
I think
they're just going to take the loss and I don't think OG's coming back. Like I just don't think it's happening.
I think OG gets traded.
This
year. I think he gets traded this year.
He goes. You think he goes to front office and says, "I'm declining my player option if you want to get anything from me."
Maybe, but I also think that I think the Raptors. I think the Raptors probably already know that, right?
Yeah.
That OG isn't coming back. If the Sixers make like a good offer for him, I think the Raptors take it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it also depends on like where they are right before the deadline, because if they think that the East is even a little bit opened up, I think I could also see Masai just wanting to make a push for the play-in, which is unfortunate for them, but
yeah,
it's just what Masai does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that pretty much sums up all those players, and then more players are going to be. There's a lot more players that are actually eligible on January 15th.
Yeah.
That'll be all the extension guys or restricted free agents. Restricted free agents are going to be eligible. So that's probably when it's going to really start. I doubt we see a trade next Friday, to be honest. But
you just don't see a lot of December trades. No.
December's the deciding month.
Yeah.
You're like,
you start having conversations, really. Like you already are, but now you can like legally have conversations. So you start.
The only times that we ever see star players be moved like before January is when a star player is holding out and a deal finally comes up for them, or maybe a team is like so desperate, or a player has just fallen out of the rotation super fast and they want a new situation. You just don't see it often. So I don't anticipate we get any real trade noise until like January 15th.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, I think that's all we got then for today. Appreciate everybody who made it through the whole video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff per usual. And we'll catch you next time. Peace out.
Peace.